Question 6. What have you learnt about technologies from the process of constructing this product?
Okay, in editing, I have learned that in order to make everything work together, I need to know the features of Premiere Pro. Doing the preliminary task allowed me to learn the basics of Premiere Pro, such as how to import a file, how to change the size of the file, overwrite it to the timeline, how to add titles, and things like effects, transitions for both the video and the audio, which was quite hard. When constructing the final piece, I have learned many more features, but not only learning how to apply them onto the clips and sound, but also what are each of them used for. So, for example, effects. So, in order to create, in order to change the look of the video and into something new and make it different than just colorful, maybe you can add like cross dissolve or some other stuff, and then transitions to change from one clip to another. The whole editing process was hard, as it included a lot more features from adding titles, which was the easiest part of exporting the video clip, to a media file, which was much harder, as we didn't quite know what media file to choose that would work on every computer. Adding titles was quite easy, as you only had to look for one option at the top of the editing Premiere Pro, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it only says, so it had to say new titles, and then you just press it, which was quite easy. However, if you wanted to actually make changes, so like add more effects or some other stuff, then you had to look for options which are within the title, which was harder to get. I really enjoy editing the final video, as it allowed me to learn new things that can be done with Premiere Pro for future use. I also learned the basics of Logic Pro and how to import the file from Logic Pro into Premiere Pro, because you did the Logic Pro and the sound and everything. And making the sound was harder for me, so Dawn and I decided to split up, and I did the Premiere Pro where she did the Logic Pro, which made it easier as we didn't get in the way. And making the sound, we also decided to try different things. So like I tried the sound, but I was going really bad, so Dawn had to help me out. And Dawn actually tried some editing and actually really liked her editing, so she's good at both things. And yeah, we helped each other all the way through constructing the product, as we made equal decisions and agreed on everything together.
And although, like you said, I wasn't really involved in editing as much as you were, I edited one clip on my own. We called it a day, and an idea came to my mind to make the mid-shot of our female character more interesting. We previously found it kind of difficult to edit this and make it smooth, and it was so hard.
Some of the clips didn't actually go together quite well, so we had to figure out what clips to choose. But the good thing is that you decided, when we filmed, you decided to actually make few clips of the same scene.
To
make sure
easier.
That we have the right one.
And I began by adding cross dissolves on the beginning and end of the clip,
and some transitions as well,
through the video transitions and dissolves button to help with the smoothness. Then I went to video effects and I clicked on distort and added a timing effect on the entire clip. It didn't affect the cross dissolve, so that was fine. And then I went on to the button effect control panel and used the echo effect to make the female character seem like, I don't know, a distortion in time, suggesting that she's a ghost. So what would happen is there'd be the normal shot of her, and then it's like there'd be an overlap of the same shot, but you could change the time of it, so it could be faster than the other one or slower. I decided it to be slower, and when I showed this to you, you really liked it, and I mean we both agreed.
I really liked it because it had that ghostly effect, which made it like more nicer to look at for even for the audience.
And suspenseful, and it's like, who's this person? And like despite my lack of experimentation with editing, whenever I watched Patricia as we were sorting out the non-diegetic and diegetic sounds, I took on board what she was doing, because she's really good.
So you're with the sound.
And this helped me understand and appreciate editing using Premiere Pro.
Same with me. I really liked the way you were doing sound, which made me actually like follow what you were doing. So maybe one day I could be able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the camera work is one of the most important part of the
Mm.
production process, because
Mhm.
without the filming you wouldn't have anything to edit, which will
To make up.
not even make our opening
Yeah,
sequence.
exactly.
We started off with using a camera and a tripod in order to film. We got to know all the features, starting from how to switch a camera on, how to zoom, how to watch a certain clip, how to open up the lenses, Dawn, and how to take pictures using the camera. The weather was one of the biggest issues, as it stopped us from filming because it was snowing,
Yeah.
and we didn't want the camera to get damaged, because without it we'd be able to film. So we had to wait a few days in order to film again and match a pathetic fallacy that we wanted. Operating the tripod was not that bad, as we have done it before for a preliminary task, and I have learned how to pan using the tripod, and so that it's smooth, because panning with the tripod is actually really, really hard, and how to make the tripod bigger, and how the tripod needs to be placed in order to have straight shots, so
Yeah.
they're level.
Yeah. And for filming, I learnt the basics as well, like turning on the camera,
Yeah.
charging it. Charging it was
Before filming.
zooming in and out, recording, reviewing and deleting videos, and taking pictures. It was easy to learn these things. Like, it took about 20 minutes of us experimenting.
You knew
with
some
the
of the
camera.
stuff already.
Yeah, and I even found out that there are special effects that can be used when recording or taking a picture. Like, you can have
I
this
didn't know that.
special bubbly frame, like, or you can, I don't know.
Oh yeah,
have
when you take a
leaves
picture,
around
you
it
can
and-
have a bubble
yeah,
frame.
or like hearts, and anyway, so there are those kind of things that you can have. And however, the main challenge was learning the correct way to shoot a shot with a tripod. That was difficult.
Yeah.
Panning is a prime example.
Because in order to how are you gonna pan if you want to make it smooth?
Exactly.
Because it's quite hard, because
and you can't, because sometimes it goes
and then it doesn't make it
jittery.
smooth.
Yeah, exactly. And it can't be done handheld, so like a point of view shot, because it's shaky. And it must be shot on
Even
a
the point
tripod.
of view, it was hard to do for our
we had
actor.
to make it realistic.
Yeah, because obviously he had to, like, we had to hold the camera like his height.
Yeah, and that was hard because I was really short.
Yeah, and
so we had to
basically
actually give it to him.
and actually like move it around, which was shaky as well.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so, and it's got to be shot on the tripod to get the correct levels and turning speed and make it smooth. And it also depends on what kind of panning is required, like a high or low angle position, to be specific. And anyway, during the filming, I did many pans, like 2 of which we used. The first being of the street at night, having the neon Camden Lock sign. I needed to level the tripod with the floor and make sure the camera was attached and secure to the tripod, so it wouldn't wobble or be a wonky clip. And this shot had to be repeated because I found it really hard to have a smooth turn. You get this attachment on the tripod. It's like I don't know, it looks like a screwdriver, and you turn it. And it's really hard to move because you've got to loosen it and. Oh.
Yeah, and you have to do everything before you actually film, because if you don't do it, then how are you going to do it when you're filming?
And then you'll need to charge the camera again.
And then do it again.
Oh, yeah. So the second one was on a balcony and getting a higher shot of the street, so it was almost like a bird shot, but not entirely.
Like a high angle.
High angle shot. Looking down,
Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah, and the tripod had to be its maximum height, and I needed to have the legs extended and wind up.
And obviously there's that little circle in the middle of the tripod in order to level it up. What is it called?
Yeah. I don't know. I find this really hard.
Yeah.
It's like yellow liquid and it's got a bubble. I think it's a leveler or a meter or something.
Yeah,
like that.
something like that. So that you know that the level is the floor is actually level, and that your shot is not like this.
Yeah,
but it's like this straight.
And so I need to have the legs long and wind up the extra height thing, and then put the legs together so it makes it like even taller. and then I began recording, and I realised that I couldn't turn it too slowly or too fast because it would just be shaky. And this particular shot's pan was not used because it was too unstable. But we used the ending as a nice establishing shot of the area. And I've learnt that practicing the pan shot is very useful because it requires a steady hand in order to get the smoothest turn, and can help with developing the other shots and stuff. Because it's like when you learn the pan, it helps you with all the others.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you get to manoeuvre the camera around. Yeah, and then learning the 180-degree rule was quite difficult.
I agree with that.
Yeah. We always had to bear in mind the position of the characters and the camera in order to maintain this rule. And during the filming, it took us a while to use the 180-degree rule because of the continuity. We also needed to constantly obey the rule in order to make our story, our narrative, more realistic. And it helped me and also you realise that a lot of time goes into filming. Like even just a few shots, because you have to repeat.
Yeah, I always had to say to her.
Plan so much.
I always had to say to her that there is a line, like draw a line basically in the middle.
I find it really hard to
so don't
picture
cross
it.
the line.
Yeah, but she really helped.
At the end we got there.
And then
short reverse shot.
Yeah, shot reverse shot or match on action helps the flow of conversation, and it seems more believable. Because it displays the exchange between the characters. It can also happen before a POV shot to reveal whose point of view the audience is seeing, which can be broken to create mystery or suspense, because an audience don't know who they're seeing, like if it's a killer or something. And
yeah, that's true.
Something. Yeah, something like that. In filming, we incorporated match on action without a conversation, like a dialogue exchange between the characters, to create and maintain the suspense through the lack of conversation. Like the stare was
that was scary.
Yeah, that was scary.
Our friend actually was really good at that, and then it was a good filming because we got the car when it turned, and actually the light was at her.
Light, yeah.
So we got the right timing, which was good.
And the over the shoulder shot with our male character walking by the female was very difficult to frame. This is because I needed to ensure the tripod's legs were right and evenly lengthened, and
then we had to make sure that it's above her shoulder.
Yeah.
And actually we could see him because he's taller than her.
And the leveler, the meter thingy, with the bubble.
the leveler, yeah.
Yeah, the leveler. Okay, that's its new name. See if the camera was level, and then the framing, to get both characters' heads in, because that's important. Because, like, say if we were filming our evaluation like this, it'd be really bad.
Yeah, or maybe like this.
Yeah, like
half of Patricia and half of Dawn.
And this took a long time to take, because we needed to do as many as we could to make sure we got the framing right, and
few shots of, like we said before, few takes of each of the scenes to actually choose the right one for editing. Because I found that in preliminary, right, going back to it just briefly, we actually didn't do enough shots, so that made us realise that for the final task we obviously need to make more shots.
And I found out that I couldn't record at the same time as zoom in on a character, because the zoom affected the focus on the camera and blurred the image. The zoom was very useful when framing the shots, and it helped me experiment with how a shot could be taken, what significant details, like the eyes or something, could be focused on in the clip. With the zooming, you had to be really precise on what you were.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's not just about how to use the camera, although it's a very significant part. It's also about the timing, especially with the weather.
Yeah, I agree to that.
Yeah, so
I mentioned before,
one weekend, as Patricia mentioned, it was snowing, and that prevented us from filming.
We had to wait, and obviously we can't do it after school. Yeah, we could do it after school, but the weather wasn't great, and it was kind of cold.
Yeah, and I'm glad we didn't, because like harsh weather conditions like snow or blizzards or whatever could have really damaged or affected the equipment, which would have stopped us from filming. Like, you never know if the tripod could get rusty
Yeah.
or anything like
Or the
that.
camera could actually like
freeze and
and just damage.
yeah, because we know water damage, but we don't know like
Yeah, it was
cold
raining.
damage.
One time it was raining, and then Dawn was actually, I was holding the umbrella so it doesn't damage the camera. So we learned that basically the technology is actually really important.
Yeah. So as Patricia was saying, on the following weekend, I planned to film and was prepared to film in the rain. Like, we were all suited and booted and waterproofs and stuff, and made sure we were dressed warmly as well, and along with the large umbrella to cover the camera from the rain. And I wanted to get most or all of the filming done on that day. Like, basically do every shot without the characters to make the filming process faster, and less people you take with you, give fewer distractions, because you're having to move to each shot's position and also move
the people with you.
Yeah, and also you never know, they could be chatting and stuff, so you could hear that. So I filmed all day, and you joined me, but we kept needing to do the charger, and we learnt that cameras don't have a long lifetime,
especially the one that we use.
And went off the charger, and charging them should happen on a regular basis, because otherwise you're not going to get your filming done, are you?
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, the sound is the thing that I know the least about. And I know a few bits, such as bouncing the sound off and overlapping different sounds together. But in editing, it's different than in Logic Pro. Like Premiere Pro is different. But Dawn was more acknowledged with it, so it was easier for her. So should we talk about it a bit,
So a bit. The making of sound and editing of it using Logic Pro and Premiere Pro, that plays an important role in the construction of our final product. There's a large variety of sounds concerning different sections, like in Logic Pro, or sections or groups like strings, guitar, and electronic, like to choose from. And the sounds I used from Logic Pro were loops on the program that had already been made, and I spent hours searching through the loops to find ones that would work well with our genre and the camera shots. I searched for keywords on the search bar in Logic, like abstract and violin, to narrow down the list of sounds I had to go through. And once I found the sounds, I'd click and drag the loops on the grid in separate rows, and these rows would automatically be named as the loop I'd placed in the row, and would follow the preferred sound settings for each loop. And I mean, this was so useful, because the similar sounds, like violins, for example, they could also join that row and loop, allow me to experiment with different compositions until I found the right one, and until Patricia had agreed with me.
Yeah, I agree to that. I found it really difficult. I don't really know, like, all of the stuff that Dawn was just talking about. It's so complicated to me. But then I learned a bit at the end.
Because we went through it together.
Yeah.
And after experimenting with a group of loops, by dragging them underneath each other and making sure sounds joined at the right timing, all that kind of stuff, I selected the compilation, clicked File, clicked Export, and clicked As Audio File, and put the MP3 on my USB to give to Patricia.
And then I could put it onto Editing Pro, and it could actually be
Editing Pro.
Premiere Pro, and it could actually be the right file in order to put it up onto, so it works.
So that was really good, and a bit of collaboration there.
Sorry.
No, it's cool. And I learned how to merge and construct unique compositions that suited our genre, and also became more familiar with Logic Pro as I composed, each sound, and just generally experimented. And using audio transitions and adding sounds and sound effects I merged together onto Premiere Pro was really exciting, because like both of us would listen with our headphones on intently and make sure the timing,
and be like, oh my god, that is so nice, and then
make sure the timing was perfect, and to finish each clip. Like I played the video on my computer
without the sound, and Dawn had headphones in her computer, and she actually wanted to match exactly.
Yeah, we were
And she was like,
"Press
no,
play,
that
no,
doesn't
no."
match, and then go back, and we had to do all sort of stuff.
Yeah, so
But obviously, you learn from mistakes.
and I was it also saved the USB stuff, because some of the sounds we put onto USB, the ones we really wanted to use, but
Yeah.
we did the thing with the two computers to check. And I was very particular where sounds would go, whether or not the sound needed an audio transition, because it could cut in too sharply, or was too harsh
that's
for the
true.
sound for an audience to listen to, which you don't want to be
Listening to something and then be like, it's loud, and then it just cuts to being like,
or it cuts to the diegetic sound of the next clip, and it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't sound
so it
right.
needed to be smooth, and so and
you lost yourself there.
And in that case, we needed to lower the volume on the clip through Premiere Pro. I don't know if you want to talk about that. Or...
Yeah, so basically, some of the clips, like Dawn just said, the sound that she did was quite too loud. So like the one that we had for radio report, I think you agree, it was too loud. So I had to obviously go to like settings and some choose the right settings. I can't remember off by heart now, but it was the toolbar at the top. You had to choose options and then go to settings and then choose some other things and then actually like lower the volume down, or basically on the timeline just double click on the audio file that you just put on there, and then all you do is just an effect bar opens up, and then you just change the effect, make it lower, make it fade out, fade in, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So
which was hard to do at the beginning, but then obviously we both learned.
Yeah, we learned together, which is good. It's always best to do it that way.
Yeah.
And talking about the non-diegetic sound, an issue with that was that that it didn't cover up the diegetic sound on the shots. And during the shots with our male and female character, I'd added a sound to Premiere Pro and directed Patricia where to place it, being very particular.
Yes.
And
I had some trouble with Dawn.
And the build-up in non-diegetic sound merged with the diegetic sirens, like it took ages, and ended our opening sequence. And watching and listening to this makes it seem like an easy process. However, this particular sound was such a challenge because we needed to overlap the diegetic sounds from the clips to have continuity in the clips, and then add and get the right timing with the non-diegetic build-up. And I'd say it was one of the hardest sounds to do because, I mean, each split second makes such a difference.
Yeah, that's true.
And we had to be so precise. So you zoomed
like
in,
say,
didn't you?
I had to zoom in,
so
proper
far.
zoom in, just to get like that beginning of our opening sequence. That Lookout Productions that you did.
Yeah, but also with
we had to
clip.
like put it together right with the clip, with the clip and the sound together, so it matches and starts up with exactly the same time.
Yeah, and also
which was a nightmare.
With the one that I'm talking about, the one with our actors,
Malena,
the siren, it goes.
Yeah, and then I had to cut. So I had to cut the siren off the other clip and put it onto the other and put it on the next clip, so it actually overlaps.
Yeah, and so I mean, I really enjoyed it because it challenged our own skills and knowledge of the programs, and it made us really push ourselves to get a good outcome, and let alone perfect, So the handy part of being in charge of both sound and camera was that I had an idea of what sounds could be used during filming, made note and searched for them in Logic Pro to help out and make editing smoother and stuff, and which gave me a broader understanding of what sound would be appropriate for the clips and
whereas me, I would just be like editing, right? So I wouldn't exactly know. I would know like where the sound would go, but I wouldn't exactly know if it cuts too sharp or not, because obviously you're more developed into sound. And but one more thing was the blogging, which was the most important part as well, because it focused on through the whole process of constructing the final product, as we uploaded every single piece of research and planning towards the final production, just to make the whole
Yeah.
construction like take together. And the whole process of constructing on how it was made and why it was made and why we did this and why we did it differently. Also the evaluation would go up on the blogger, which also allowed us to get some feedback from teachers and friends in order to find out what went well and what actually needed to improve next time. And the technologies that we had to face with blogger was actually making a blog, which was quite difficult because we didn't know anything about it and we didn't know what information to put on there. But then it got kind of easy to do, as it's about ourselves, which we already know about. And the other pieces that we had to focus on was converting files, importing images and videos to the posts, editing the posts and commenting on each other's blogs. So like us two were commenting on our friends' blogs, just to, you know, make sure that we understand what they're doing, and then they can give us some feedback. And yeah, that's about it. So the blog was quite useful. And yeah, do you want to add anything to blog?
So it was an extremely useful tool to document mine and Patricia's progress. Along the way, I've found out how to make a blogging experience easier for the person viewing the blog.
We'll make another blog.
And through various gadgets and how to get files onto posts. And before even adding sound and video clips to posts, we had to convert the content into either audio files or video files like MP3s and MP4s. This included editing the content using Premiere Pro, which wasn't my strong point, but I improved more as I practiced. And after I'd done this, I'd click on the image or video symbol in the post on Blogger, and I choose the files and import them. Sometimes I had to do this repeatedly because Blogger, it still got glitches concerning uploading
But
videos.
the good thing was that we actually, when you uploaded something, like an image or video, you could actually upload it from your computer, or you can actually upload it from the internet or from other websites. So it was that was useful as well.
I also learnt how to edit previous posts, like for grammar and spelling or mistakes, and comment on others' blogs too, like our friends that we were talking about. And concerning the format of my blog, I added gadgets to make it more organised and easier to use. I added total page views, which showed how many views my blog has. Search this blog for people to write in a keyword to access posts easier.
It's going to make it easier for teachers and examiners and everyone just to basically, instead of going for all these posts, because we have a lot of posts.
And going older posts, always clicking on older posts, it's just annoying.
Just type in that keyword, like say you want to find out about actors, just type actors, you will get it straight away.
Exactly. And translate as well for people who are better in other languages.
Yeah, that's true.
And link lists to highlight blogs I'm interested in, recommend, and labels associated with my post, again to make viewing blog posts less time consuming. Popular posts to display and suggest appealing posts, like and a blog archive exhibiting all of our posts on the blog.
And also the about me thing that you had to write about yourself, basically explaining who you are, what you like, and your interests.
To make our blogs interesting and personal. And we'd never really had a blog before, and having a blog and using Blogger and maintaining it is an interesting experience, to say the least. And I'm looking forward to creating some more.
Yeah, same here. We should create one together.
Yeah, exactly.
Putting videos up of evaluation.